senses, these are the 5 factors of action. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The soul within the body is acting to bring about the results of activity and therefore known as karta, the doer. That the soul is the knower and the doer is stated in the Shruti. Esha hi drashta srashta. It means, indeed, he is the seer and he is the doer, he is the creator. It is also confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra by the verses Gyo ata eva. He is also Gyata, he is also the knower. That's the meaning of this sutra from Vedanta Sutra. And Karta Shastra Arthavatvat. The meaning of the sutra is that the soul is Karta, the soul is the doer. Why? Because Shastra, the meaning of the Shastra is like this, because Shastra would be meaningless. The instruments of action are the senses, and by the senses the soul is different endeavor. But all one's activities depend on the will of the super soul who is seated within the heart. It's Prabhupada's input into English language, super cause. In Krishna consciousness, under the direction of the super soul, situated within the heart, is naturally not bound by any possible for their actions. Everything is dependent on the Supreme Lord, the super soul. Okay, the verse again. Adishtanam tatha karta karanam cha prithak vidham vividas cha prithak cheshta daivam. The various senses and many different kinds of endeavor are ultimately Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Savani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Rama, Hare Hare. Ajanulambita Bujoknakavadatu Sankirtanai Kapitaro Kamalai Taksha Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataru Yantah Pravishya Mama Vachim Imam Prasuptam Sanjivayata Kila Shakti Daraksvadhamna Anyamscha Hasta Charana Shravana Tvagadim Pranannamo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Svasyastu Vishvasya Kalah Prasidatam Dhyayantu Bhutani Shivam Mithodya Manascha Badram Bhajata Tadoksaje Aveshyatam No Matir Apyahaytuki. Hare Krishna. This is a very important verse from the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna brings resolution to the contradiction which he himself already created within Bhagavad Gita. Because from one hand, Krishna says that you're not the doer, don't think you're the doer. Ahankara vimudatma kartahamuti manyate. Only the complete fool not mudha, vimudha. The prefix vi means specially. So vimudha, only very prominent fool think he is the doer. Ahankara vimudatma kartaham. I am doing the actions. And then he says, yes, but I'm not responsible for anything. You are responsible. So to bring the balance to this, Krishna speaks this verse specifically because of the doubt which was created by his own statement. He says, on the matter of renunciation, which is the subject matter of this 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, there is no question for you to renounce action. You can only renounce the desire for the fruits of the action. So this is the formula which Krishna again and again repeats in Bhagavad Gita. But this formula, even though it may sound quite good, if we think about it, it's a little strange because, if you are acting, if you are not renouncing the actions, if you are actively engaged, how is that the result will not come to you? That's the problem, because Arjuna does not want to undergo the results of his horrendous activity which he is about to start. He doesn't want to be responsible for the action, and therefore he wants to run away from the battlefield. Natural. I'm sure every one of us was in the situation where he wanted to run away from this situation. I was many times in this situations. In fact, this is a famous from the neuroscience, the flight or fight response. Our brain has two kinds of responses. First option is to fly out. First option to run out as quickly as possible. And if it doesn't work, then you fight with the situation. But to fly out seems to be a better option because it's kind of easier. So Arjuna exactly wanted to give this instinctive response to the situation, to the reality which he faced, and he justified his reaction by different ways. That's also very typical human psychology. First, we have instinctive reaction to the situation, which is completely subconscious, and then by the means of our consciousness of buddhi, we justify this reaction. Whether this reaction right or wrong, that's another, it's right because it's already there. We only have to prove how it is right. So this is the job of our intelligence. Intelligence always proves to us how we are right. We are right, this goes without a question. How we are right, that has to be proven. So that's usually the situation. We have some instinctive response to the situation, and then we justify it by different means. And, quoting Bhagavad Gita also helps in many situations. Arjuna himself showed us the example, and we follow his footsteps because he quotes the scriptures to prove his desire to fly, to run away from this battlefield. So, Krishna says you should act, you should not run from action, but if you act in a certain way, then the result will not come. That's the, as Prabhupada translates, that's the art of acting. How to act in this world without invoking the consequences, without attracting the reactions of this work. Sri Krishna himself calls it, this is what Srila Prabhupada translates as the art of work, as karma kushalam. It's very interesting. The word kushalam is coming from the word kusha, and kusha is a very sharp grass. And it's very valuable because it is used in each and every religious ritual. Kusha is a very essential for puja or for yagya or whatever, or meditation to be successful. You have to sit on a kusha mat. So you have to cut this kusha grass. But how you can cut this kusha grass? Because you cut the kusha grass and kusha grass cuts you. So that's two processes which are going on at the same time, and it's not sure who will cut whom. There is more chances that kusha grass will cut you. So therefore, kushalam is somebody who cuts kusha grass. But this is the original meaning of this word, the origin of this word. But this word actually means an artful doer. Somebody who can cut the kusha grass without cutting himself. So, and therefore this definition of Krishna, when he says that there is an art of action, is very, very appropriate, because think the negative reactions, how to act without attracting the results. And in case of Arjuna, he neither wants positive results nor he wants negative results. For us, we don't mind positive results. Positive results are always welcome. But negatives, no way. But Arjuna understands that you cannot really reject one of them. You know, if we don't want to undergo reactions of our action, then we should relinquish both positive and negative. So, and he's wondering, he says, he is kind of, asking this question of Krishna. Krishna, you say to me that I have to give up the attachment to the results. I shouldn't be expecting any results, and but I should act. But if I act, the results will come. And how does it solve the problem? And Krishna starts answering from the previous verse. He says, "O mighty armed Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of this from me." So here, Krishna makes it very clear what are the causes of action and the results of action. And ultimately, what he wants to say is that there are different factors in our action, and the extent to which we will undergo or suffer the results of our activity very much depends on how we understand the mechanism of action. We have to be very clear to understand what's really going on in our life. So he says, and basically, anyway, so let's go one by one. He starts first, adhishtanam. Adhishtanam means the place of action, substratum. Adhishtanam means substratum, the place where the action takes place. From adhishtate, this word adhishtanam is derived from the from the verb adhishtate, which means to rule. So it basically means, it's already implies, please listen carefully, it's an interesting point. It already means that the body is ruled by somebody. So body is not an independent actor. Body is fulfilling the orders following the orders of somebody, therefore it's called adhishtanam. It's not the prime actor, but it's acting. We have to consider this, because sometimes, we have to take our body into consideration. We may have some brilliant ideas, but our body says, no, just, keep these ideas for yourself. Sometimes, I'm speaking from my experience. Sometimes in the kirtan I want to dance, and body says, no, not this time. And sometimes says, probably not this lifetime. Too late. So, even though body is a secondary factor of activity, still it has some independence. It's a factor. It's an independent factor. There is certain independence. It's a somewhat independent cause, not fully surrendered to the will of the soul, and definitely not fully surrendered anyway. So maybe fully surrendered to the will of the Lord. Let's see. So that's the first consideration, our body. The second consideration, immediately Krishna says karta. Karta means the doer. Karta means, as Prabhupada says, the worker. Karta, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, means the soul. So he directly says that we are responsible for our actions. We are the karta, and therefore the consequences come to us. And Arjuna, by listening to Krishna, says, yes, that's exactly what I mean, and therefore I will go away. But Krishna says, no, wait, don't be in a hurry. There are three more factors of action. There is karanam, our senses, and then the senses are different, prithak vidham, and there is prithak cheshta. Srila Prabhupada translates as various endeavors which we do. Other translators translated, and it's a literal translation. Literally, it's the exact translation. Other translators say it's different pranas, different life airs. And finally, daiva means God, means the providence. So, and what Krishna wants to say is that you're responsible, but please also consider that there is daiva, and the relationship, the crux of the issue is the relationship between you and daiva. How you are in harmony with the desire of the Supreme Lord. If you are fulfilling the desires of the Supreme Lord, if you are doing what He wants you to do, even though you are an independent actor, then the responsibility is not yours. The results will not come to you, because ultimately it's the desire of the Lord. But for that, to claim that you're not responsible, you have to be completely in sync with the will of the Lord. So basically that's what Krishna wants to say, but it's a very, as I said, it's a very subtle point, and we have to be again very clear about this. In Mahabharata, there is a nice story how once Krishna spoke with Duryodhana. And Krishna came to Duryodhana. My dear Duryodhana, why do you act in such a foolish way? Why do you act in completely irreligious way? Why you violate all the norms of Dharma? Why you harass Pandavas? You're born in such a nice family. You have everything at your command. Why do you need more? Why are you acting the way you're acting? And Duryodhana looked at him and said, Janami dharmam natu me pravritim, janamya dharmam natu me nivritim. He says, I know what is dharma, but I have zero inclination to do dharma. And anyway, there is some divine being within my heart, and I'll do what he tells in his heart. And who is saying to him, you fool, why are you acting in such a wrong way? And he says, oh, I know Dharma, I know Adharma, I know everything, but what can I do? Somebody is pushing me to do. Does it sound familiar to you? Sometimes we, as a very, intelligent and philosophical devotees, will say, what can I do? The blade of grass will not move without the desire of the Lord. So, if the blade of grass doesn't move without the desire of the Lord, what to speak about me? Yes, this is the way I am. What can I do? It's very interesting. Please understand, because it's a little subtle point, because in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna to Krishna. The same situation, Krishna is facing Arjuna, and Arjuna is saying, no, I'm not going to fight, no, Krishna, I know what is better for me. But then he says, I'm completely bewildered about what I should do. So, here we have, this is a very important distinction. Here we have the primordial demon. Duryodhana is the model of a demon, and the do anyway what I do. And here we have a devotee who says, no, I don't know anything. That's the first very important distinction between one and another. Devotee is not sure. We should question whether I'm right or wrong. This idea that, I already know everything. It's a demoniac idea. It's the idea which is coming from our ego, and ultimately this is the idea which brings us to a wrong place and will bring about bad results. We should not trust exactly our intelligence. We should ask. We should always be under the guidance. That's the idea. The amplifying the divine character, the divine person. The sign of the divine person is that he is not sure, and he ultimately surrenders the ultimate decision, especially in the difficult situation, to the higher dear Lord, please tell me what to do. He doesn't trust the intelligence, he doesn't trust his mind. He knows that the mind can cheat us very easily without any problem, so on and so forth. Yes, he's acting, but at the same time, he is introspective. The distinction between the demoniac person and the divine person lays in this ability to introspect, to ask the questions. Therefore, we see Srimad Bhagavatam, we see Bhagavad Gita, all Bhagavad Gita and all Srimad Bhagavatam is the questions and answers, questions and answers, questions and answers. No hero, no actor of Srimad Bhagavatam comes and says, I already know everything. Yes. It's a demoniac idea. It's the idea which is coming from the false ego, from the false understanding of reality. We are faulty living entities. We need guidance. We always need guidance. And the guidance, our purity, we will get the answers from inside. But until we reach this level of complete purity, we should not completely trust our Yes, I'm responsible for my actions, but I try to do what Krishna wants me to do. That's the devotee. The devotee wants to do something which is pleasing to Krishna, and that basically means Dharma. Krishna wants us to act in a dharmic in this regard, and he's telling us this. And actually, this is the logic of Baladev Vidyabhushan and Srila Prabhupada and some other commentators. But actually, I think in this interpretation where he emphasizes and stresses so much that you are the doer. Karta, you are the soul, you Bhagavad Gita, even in the verses where Krishna apparently speaks something different, and here he jumps on this opportunity to say, yes, Karta is a very important element of action. Vedanta Sutra, Karta Shastrarthavatvat. For Shastra Karta, that the soul Karta has the freedom to act. The logic here is very simple. Now, the Shastras always say that, but I'm not the actor. I'm just a puppet in the hands of the Supreme Lord. He is doing whatever he wants me to do. Then all the Shastras immediately at this moment of time will become completely useless, completely meaningless. Krishna endeavored different Shastras, he gave Bible, he gave Quran, he gave different things. They all about this. You should do this, you should not do that. No, I'm not the doer. And therefore Krishna says, no, you are the doer. And therefore Prabhupada says, no, you are the doer. Because otherwise everything will be meaningless. So when it comes, the meaning here is that when it comes to our spiritual practice, it's very important. When I want to endeavor, I should try to endeavor according to in the order which is given by Narottam Das Thakur, Sadhu, Shastra, Guru. The highest authority in the present moment, in the present context. For us, Srila Prabhupada is the highest authority. Why? And be completely lost in the Shastra. Srila Prabhupada comes and says, this is important, this is not important. Once somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, is it possible to eat turmeric? And his face was totally miserable. And he said, why should you make everything so complicated? Speculating about different things. So what I mean to say is that first authority is sadhu, Shastra over sadhu. Because Shastra is too huge and we can't point. People are very expert. They will find some other esoteric book. Nobody knows where it is. They will translate to disprove this Shastra. Yeah, I think I am follower of Srila Prabhupada, authority for me. It's a very, very